I want to show you something that rarely makes it into history books. During World War II, this frozen island, mostly empty, rarely discussed, became one of the most strategically important locations on Earth. Not because of what was built here, rather because of what would have happened if it had been lost.
In April of 1940, Nazi Germany invaded and occupied Denmark. Overnight, Greenland, which was a Danish territory, was cut off from its government. And that created a dangerous vacuum. You see, if Germany established bases in Greenland, it could threaten Atlantic shipping, monitor Allied movements, and ultimately disrupt weather forecasting across Europe. The United States hadn't officially entered the war yet, but it understood the risk. So America made a move that quietly reshaped the North Atlantic. With Danish approval arranged through diplomatic channels, the United States moved to protect Greenland. Airfields were built. Weather stations were established. Navy patrols were expanded. Greenland became an early warning system, not just for enemy ships, but for weather itself. See, in World War II, weather could determine the success or failure of bombing raids. Naval convoys, and amphibious landings. Greenland sat directly in the path of North Atlantic weather systems. It became increasingly clear that whoever controlled Greenland controlled the forecast. So this wasn't a traditional battlefield. There were no massive land battles. No tank columns. Definitely no front lines. Instead, the struggle was quiet and technical. Meteorologists launching balloons into Arctic storms. Pilots navigating featureless ice. And crews maintaining runways carved into frozen ground.
Look, Greenland wasn't flashy, and it definitely did not make headlines. But Allied operations depended on it, and the aircraft lost on the ice were part of that hidden war.
Greenland became a critical stop in the aircraft ferry route to Europe. Fighters and bombers passed through on their way to combat, sometimes barely making it. And when weather closed in, planes landed wherever they could. Some crews were rescued. Nearly all the aircraft were written off. The island of Greenland slowly absorbed the cost. Not in money, but in metal, fuel, and often in lives, without any recognition at all. By the end of World War II, Greenland had proven its strategic value. And after that, it would never return to obscurity again. What began as a wartime necessity laid the foundation for a permanent military presence. One that would later place Greenland at the center of the Cold War.
Look, Greenland did not just support World War II. It changed how wars would be fought in the Arctic and how the world would be watched from above. And in the years that followed, the ice would hide not just aircraft, but nuclear weapons, secret bases, and an entirely new kind of global tension. You see, that's the part of the story we rarely talk about.